Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is Bro Man Clash right here. And tonight I want to give you something a bit different. And it's a subject that I want to do for quite some time, and that's an analysis of a movie. And one of the movies that always seem to catch me off guard is New Jack City. Yes, New Jack City, one with Wesley Snipes and Ice-T back in 1991, describing drug kingpin Nino Brown, spoiler alert, and him against the cops, Sky Appleton and Nick Paredio. And then here's the thing, man. The movie was not about cops and robbers, all that crap. But it was something far deeper and much more involved. In fact, it was more about Eurocentric ideals and Afrocentric survival. See, look, the reason why I don't have footage, to show you is because one, I might get copyright sued, and plus note, that's just it. I don't want to get copyright sued. But to the best of my ability, I'm going to tell you how it goes down. But if you really want to watch the film, and if you have like the cop and robber frame of mind, that's okay, because that's how the way I originally looked at it. But when you look at it from like a survival aspect and also a clashing viewpoint, you realize that the movie is much deeper than that. Now, what I'm going to do is tell you about New Jack City as a whole. New Jack City was talking about an urbanized way of life, but it shows off two sides. One that tries to live justly and try to do the right thing. One that goes by crime, even though it showed that crime does pay and you live the life, but at what cost? Some of you say that they make a lot of money, and some of you actually say like, that's the type of people I look up to. Now, let me warn you about that side. That side comes with three things. Matter of fact, five things. Death, corruption, a lack of judgment. What I mean by lack of judgment, you start to question everybody, even the people that you grew up with. A sense of arrogance and egotism. I know some of you may say that egotism and arrogance, aren't they a bit the same thing? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. See, a state of arrogance, you believe that you are invincible. While egotism, you put up like a false guard. See, arrogance deals with a clouding of the mind, while egotism gives you like a delusional sense of grandeur. But the good side, which is basically about, what they say, good always wins out in the end. But New Jack City talks about how the way the good is more about survival, while, the bad is talking about economics. And some of you say that I thought this was going to be about showing the difference between Afrocentric survival and Eurocentric economics. If you really look at the movie, especially through the lens of a Pan-Africanist, you'll realize certain things. One, you will notice certain Pan-Africanist imagery, such as the African medallion, also some Rastafari colors, and also the fact that they have, dread hats, dreadlock hats that actually cover up their dreadlocks. And also, if you notice, they also wear dashikis, which is a staple of, what they consider to be black power, or those who are in the liberation movement. But there's one thing you need to keep in consider of this, and that's also dealing with the topic of what side are you on, really? Because some people are afraid of telling it how it is. But New Jack City delivers in on that, and I recommend that you watch it. And like I said before, if you have like a cop and robber mainframe, that's how it looks on the outside. But if you really deep into it, it's something far different. And how does this tie in with our two main characters, Scotty Appleton and Nino Brown? On this part, I'm gonna do like a 3-parter or a 5-parter. No, 3-parter, because within because I'm gonna describe first Nino Brown. Nino Brown represents, the kid in the ghetto or the kid in the street that basically want to make it large. He has great ambitions and he's willing to do everything that it takes to get that money. It's great to have ambitions, but what would happen if ambition were to turn dark or even sinister? Nino Brown had friends, G Money or Gerald Wells, Keisha, Dudda Man. These are some. Keisha's a real name, and Dudda Man is just a nickname. Don't get me wrong. And he was in some illicit activity. Even had, these are spoilers, so if you haven't watched the movie, just focus on the details and ignore what I'm talking about, the plot points. But with Nino Brown, he done some illicit activity in his youth. Even done drugs. He admit that himself. But what he embodies is the youth that wants to make some money, but lack the consequential thinking of what would happen if I sell this product. That product is crack. Yes, this movie is talking about crack cocaine and the two sides, the schism or the separation that face many African people here in America, and especially in Black America, especially when it happened in Harlem. Some in Harlem, some, mainly in New York. But you actually get to see that effect right there in the movie, where it spanned in probably in 3 decades. No, matter of fact, yeah, in 3 decades, showed off in 1 hour and 10 minutes, I believe. But New Jack City shows off the destruction of the home, destruction of the Black family, the exploitation of the Black mother, the destruction of the Black mother, the death of the Black father, the orphanage of the Black children, and thus the destruction of Black community. Now, how does this tie in with Nino Brown? See, look, Nino Brown, he represents, even though if you really look at him, he looked like an African brother with, a high top fade with the bump on the head. Look real sharp. Don't get me wrong. I respect the fact that he was ambitious, but what I did not respect about him was the fact that he did not care what was going to happen to his people if he sold that damn product known as crack. He focused more on the money. His eyes were filled with greed, if you notice. His friends became corrupted. He represented Eurocentric economics or Eurocentric ideals. Then, when it came right down to it, he didn't care if anyone or anything got hurt as long as he made some money. And that became more apparent in one scene when all the Cash Money Brothers associates are in the table, almost in the style of not Jesus Christ, but in the style of a meeting, which it was. And then, you know what he was talking about? He wasn't talking about, the well-being of his employees. He was not talking about the people, the tenants inside the apartment. You know what he was talking about? The product, the money, and his wealth. And what was he saying? He said, $1 million a week business reduced to fucking rubbles, and proceeded to stab one of his associates on the hand. Now, if you watch that scene, you notice that Nino Brown represents that kid who cares nothing in life but money, because he knew what it was like to grow up with nothing, and he wanted to be something. And those who have similar ideologies such as him, you identify with him. You will not love the actions that he was taking, but you did love the fact that he was what he was, an ambitious young man. And with an ideological thinking of Eurocentric, ideology, comes the disrespect of the Black Elder. In one scene where the old man, who represents the wisdom of the ancestors, told Nino Brown, "You're killing your own people with them little white devils you put in that bottle." You know what that old man was basically telling him? Stop poisoning your own people. And then here comes Keisha. She represents the black woman who's being corrupted by money. You know, he had various other women and all that crap, but let me get on with her. She said, you better step off, Grandpa. Just like disrespecting him. And then come right down to it, she was even willing to kill an elder in the community. She said, Neo, let me smoke this old dude. I'm just like, whoa. Back then, I just knew, like, yo, that's not right. But I did not know why it didn't sit well with me. Now I know why. Because he disrespected an elder who was giving him wisdom. And he even disrespected a legacy when he said, what, another I have a dream speech with that same shit you're ripping off to me? Look at where we at. Not a pot to piss in a window to throw it out of. Use the fool, old man. Which delivered like a cold, harsh reality that young boy has found out. The negative half of reality. You know what that is? It's a cold world out there. And you have nobody but yourself to rely on. And with that, that's how Nino Brown thinks. Sure, there may have been some shred of remorse in him, but at the same time, there was a bit of an emotional turmoil, but he ultimately chose the side that destroyed his people more than a side that wanted to benefit his people. He thought about his circle more than the whole perspective. He looked at the small image, not the bigger picture. And if you really think about it, Nino Brown was that very same traitor that destroyed his own people. But how's that tie in with our next character, Scotty Appleton? You're going to find that out in the next part. So then, my YouTube viewers, hope you have a great night. And the next part will be up very shortly. Hope all of you have a great night.